The Everspace series has come a long way in just 2 titles. The latest entry steps away completely from its roguelike origins and takes the franchise into a massive open world. I've been playing the title over the past few months, and recently developers Rockfish sent out the closed beta keys to all Kickstarter supporters. The title itself will be releasing into early access in January. Now, one of the highlights of the original Everspace, without a doubt, was its combat. It's fast, visceral, and extremely focused. To be perfectly clear, Everspace doesn't have the simulated spaceflight of a title such as Elite Dangerous. Instead, it opts for a far more arcadey approach, but for all of that, it works extremely well. Everspace 2 then brings you into the game with a rather extensive campaign that slowly introduces you to the elements of the title's rather large game world. Although currently in closed beta there's around 10 hours of this, that said, there's no time limit, you can just keep playing. The campaign itself though will continue to be added to during development. So overall this means eventually there will be plenty of story to go around, even whilst at the moment the voice lines are a simple placeholder with text-to-speech, but voice acting will follow soon. The first few hours of Everspace 2 then will see you getting involved in combat, landing at your rather stunning home base, visiting a variety of spaceports, learning about aspects of the upgrade system, running missions, and even descending down to a planetary surface for some combat, which in a surprising turn even extends into the odd cave and tunnel system. All of these areas are connected with the game's faster-than-light travel system, which allows players to freely fly around star systems, travelling easily from planet to planet and station to station. Ultimately, Everspace 2 will be set across multiple star systems. All of this then gives the impression of an extremely large world. Although that said, I feel it's important to underscore at this point that the aforementioned areas, that is the planet surfaces, the orbital areas, and just about anywhere else, are each essentially zones with boundaries. That means you cannot fully fly around the entirety of a planet, for example. The size of the area you have access to is limited, but they are more than large enough to convey the illusion of scale. So overall I don't find this to be a problem in the slightest, as Everspace 2 is very much about moving from point to point to achieve your goals, which brings me on to another subject, which of course is those goals. Now I don't want to talk about the campaign or story just here. The game isn't even in early access yet, which makes discussing the story fairly pointless. What I will talk about though regarding goals is the foundation that the game is built on. Fundamentally, Everspace 2 is a looter-shooter. Think Diablo or Torchlight set in space, not in terms of the combat and the environments of course, but rather in terms of the loot and upgrade systems. The new Everspace has a huge focus on the types of RPG elements that go into these types of games. The ships you can collect all offer a variety of pros and cons, and these can be purchased over time and stored in your hangar. Swapping between them effectively is like switching between classes in a regular RPG looter-shooter. Meanwhile, ever more powerful modules and weapons can either be purchased or found during your adventures. This then puts Everspace 2 into a very unique place among all current space games. It shares with those other space titles all the important aspects which make it a space game: that scale, space travel, faster-than-light elements, a variety of ships which all handle differently, not to mention the rather nice-looking planets, and stars and stations, all of this located within geographically gorgeous environments. Further, the title offers a variety of ways to view the action, so whether a first-person cockpit is your preferred perspective, or if you would rather a third-person, you are still covered. So yes, Everspace 2 shares all the important elements that make a good space game a good space game. Where it stands out, however, is the pace at which all of these things take place. As it stands right now, in its current form, Everspace 2 never feels like a slog or a grind. It never feels as though hours of time need to be pumped into the game just to achieve a small incremental reward. Now it is entirely possible that as things develop with the game and as the true endgame emerges, all of this may change and elements of grind and time sinks may start to appear. But right now, that's not at all the focus, and generally speaking, I really do enjoy the overall pace of the game. Ultimately then, all of this is the groundwork upon which the combat is laid. It means that the title isn't merely a space shooter, but rather that it has a multitude of different elements connecting it together, which makes it unique, but also very clearly a space game. Now, it may seem to you that I'm unusually singing the high praises for this game, but that is precisely because I am. There's very little about Everspace 2 that I don't actually enjoy, and the only thing that perhaps bothers me comes down to my lack of skill with the combat system. It is very much driven by skill after all, and that is a good thing. Although, that being said, it is a looter-shooter, which of course means that equipment is vital and all important. It means that as you upgrade, you will find yourself becoming ever more powerful. Currently then, it strikes a good balance between being equipment-focused and skill-focused. And what this means is that you will be able to move through the game without an extreme skill set. However, an extreme skill set nonetheless will bring its own rewards, as it's very fulfilling and will allow you to progress in areas you may otherwise struggle. As to the future, Rockfish have discussed a crafting system, which will likely be one of the best ways to gain access to some of the best equipment. Meanwhile, new star systems will be added over the time. The second star system, Union, already looks very good and is something I'll be taking a closer look at in a future video. Everything you've seen in this video so far is from the initial first star system. Now, coming back to the title of the video, it may seem like very early days to ask if Everspace 2 could end up becoming the best space shooter, but I seriously feel that is one of Rockfish's goals, and with the way everything currently ties together, it seems as though this is certainly a target which is more than within their reach. This is a title then which I want to keep a focus on over the coming months, because I genuinely feel it's a space game with a lot of potential. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.